Hi, Ben from Lover of Tech. Welcome to my extreme battery drain test between the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, the Honor 200 Pro, and the Moto Edge 50 Pro on mobile data with no Wi-Fi option. Let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the battery and performance specs, starting off with the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, it is packing a 5,000 mAh battery and it is powered internally by the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 NEG chipset. For the Honor 200 Pro, it is packing a 5,200 mAh battery and it is powered by the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3. And the Moto Edge 50 Pro is packing a 4,500 mAh battery and it is powered by the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. Now, when it comes to the parameters of this extreme battery drain test, we pretty much do keep it consistent as what we do on all our previous battery drain tests, where things like the display settings are pretty much kept to default. So if there is 120 Hz or auto adaptive mode, it is kept there. The display is pretty much kept default around 1080p or give or take a slightly higher resolution based on what the device is. Now, if the device does have a performance profile mode where you do have high performance mode on or off, we do keep it off for this particular profile. I've done previous extreme battery drain tests where I've compared different performance profiles to see the difference, so you can go check that out. And of course, at the time of this recording, when it comes to the latest software, we do have them on the latest software on all these devices. And when it comes to things like power saving modes or any protect battery features, we've disabled them just to make sure that we're getting the most consistent and the best battery performance as we're going through across the board. For the display calibration, they've all been put onto manual brightness with adaptive brightness turned off and also calibrated as close to 200 nits as possible across the board. And as stated with our extreme battery drain test, we are running this on mobile data only with no Wi-Fi option. By the way, let's get into it. Let's start things off with this extreme battery drain test between the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, the Honor 200 Pro, and the Moto Edge 50 Pro. Now, actually, this is my second battery drain test with the Honor 200 Pro and the Moto Edge 50 Pro. So go watch that first one and obviously watch this to see if the Honor 200 Pro does redeem itself. But for the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, this is the main phone on focus and it's the first time. And of course, with our extreme battery drain test, we shoot as one continuous video and only speed it up in the areas that matter the most. So you don't have to sit there and watch it for the continuous hours that I had to. So if you appreciate this setup, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn the notifications so you don't miss any future videos on the Lover of Tech channel, especially when it comes to our extreme battery drain test. And of course, we are doing this on mobile data, so it's going to be as consistent, as accurate as possible compared to all our other battery drain tests. So yeah, let's put the magnification over the battery status so we can see it drain in real time as we go through each particular phase with all the popular apps that we're going to be testing. And of course, we are going to be kicking things off with TikTok. And as we are going through TikTok, I always say this, TikTok is like the wicked Wild West. Everything's a bit chaotic there when it comes to content. But if you want to see more of us when we post vertical-based content on there when it comes to short, medium form, and in some cases long form, make sure you follow us over at TikTok at Lover of Tech BA. So after 1 hour of TikTok, as we're going through, how is the battery performance going to be like across the board when it comes to these devices as we pretty much cade through them and see how do they perform and hold up when on mobile data. So in this particular one, as we are getting to the 1 hour mark for TikTok, we are looking at 93% battery, 40.3 degrees Celsius, minus 7% battery loss on our Honor 200 Pro. And then with the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, it's 94% battery, 38.3 degrees Celsius, minus 6% battery loss. And then with the Moto Edge 50 Pro, it's 90% battery, 41.0 degrees Celsius, minus 10% battery loss. Now, just to put out there, it is summer now at this period of time in the UK, and as hardly as we ever get summer in the sun, this week, we are getting a bit of a heat wave, so the ambient temperature in the room is higher than usual. So take that into account how they're going to perform when it comes to it. Now, I didn't measure the ambient temperature in the room. I will get a thermometer and do that in future tests. But in this case, just to let you know, it is a bit hot in the room as I would do, even though the windows and the doors open, the temperature's up in here. Now, next is obviously Instagram Reels as we're going through it. And I said it, Instagram is probably one of my favorite social media places when it comes to behind the scenes, keeping up with people in terms of Reels and memes. So definitely, you want to see more BTS and what we're getting up to, follow us there, Lover of Tech _BA. After 1 hour of Instagram Reels, where will we be? We are looking at 81% battery, 41.9 degrees Celsius, minus 12% battery loss on the Honor, and then 84% battery, 43.3 degrees Celsius, minus 10% battery loss on the Oppo, and then 76% battery, 42.7 degrees Celsius, minus 13% battery loss on the Motorola. So yeah, we're really seeing things coming into its own, and the Oppo is doing very well, all things considered, as it is performing when it comes to battery loss. Now, when we get to Instagram Live though, things really take a turn. And here's where we really start to see things not really hit consistently for the Oppo. it overheats. Around the 2-hour, 18-minute mark, we see an overheating mark saying that the phone is getting too hot. This is not a good telltale sign for heat management. Yes, at this point, 78% battery, 48.1 degrees Celsius when it comes to the temperature on the Oppo. We're looking at 47.0 degrees Celsius on the Honor. And then the temperature reading on the Motorola is 45.9 degrees Celsius. So when we're comparing it, yeah, the Oppo's really up there. So 2 minutes later, where I'm doing this measurement, I noticed that, yeah, it's now starting to overheat on itself. As I stated, it is a summer period right now, and the ambient temperature in the room is a bit higher than usually it would do from all the other times I've tested it. But yeah, we can see that this is now a problem that it's going to be running into, because we get to the next phase within the hour of the Instagram test, 2 hour and 41 minute, it overheats again. Now there's about 70% battery left at this particular point, but when we're looking at the temperature reading, it is going to be reading at 50.9 degrees Celsius. That is very toasty for the Oppo phone. And then for the Honor, we are looking at 47.4 degrees Celsius, and then the Motorola keeping nice and cool and well managed at 45.8 degrees Celsius. No overheating signs on the Honor as well as the Moto. So now it's getting me very concerned when it comes to the heat management on the Oppo. As we're going through, trying to get to the last hour, the 3-hour mark before we move over into the YouTube testing, again, it overheats at 2 hours and 55 minutes. That's the third overheat within the hour of Instagram testing, 66% battery left. And when we do the temperature reading, we are getting a temperature reading of 50.6 degrees Celsius on the Oppo Reno 12 Pro. This isn't confidence inspiring. And again, I am putting a clause out there that the ambient temperature in the room is higher than usual around this time when I was testing it. But still, this is crazy. I gave it about 2.5 minutes for it to cool down before we ended up actually starting the live stream again on the Oppo. But my goodness, we get to the 3-hour mark and a 65% battery on the Honor, 47.5 degrees Celsius minus 16% battery loss. And you've got 65% battery, 49.5 degrees Celsius minus 19% battery loss on the Oppo. And then 60% battery, 46.3 degrees Celsius minus 16% battery left on the Motorola. And I'll be honest with you, as much as it's level pegging, the consistent overheating 3 times within an hour of Instagram testing hasn't really given me the confidence to really kind of give it the most accurate rating of how much battery should have been lost when it comes to the Oppo. Efficient, yes, but in terms of thermal management, yeah, not very confidence inspiring at the moment when it looks like what I'm doing and operating in this controlled environment on mobile data with our extreme battery drain test. And then you'd think it would actually be it, but no, we move over to our YouTube test where we are actually streaming in 4K 60 with our camera test, and 3 hours and 15 minutes in, it's overheated on itself, right? 60% battery left, 49.8 degrees Celsius, 47.5 degrees Celsius on the Honor, and then 46.5 degrees Celsius on a Motorola. Yeah, it's not really confidence inspiring. And again, we go through it. This is another overheat. And then again, it overheats in itself 3 hours and 26 minutes in for the Oppo. 56% battery left, 49.9 degrees Celsius when measuring the temperature. This is the 5th overheat back to back from the previous test into this test. And I don't know if that is actually a good thing for where we are against the other devices when it comes to heat management. As we are pushing through, again, we get to that point where it's just something you have to start considering and thinking, is this good? Have they really made the phone maybe a bit too thin without considering the thermal management for heat dissipation, even though things are quite efficient when it comes to battery? Yeah, that's quite worrying. Now, when we get to the 4-hour mark, we do have 50% battery, 43.6 degrees Celsius minus 15% battery left on the Honor, 46% battery, 46.9 degrees Celsius minus 90% battery loss on the Oppo, and then 42% battery, 43.7 degrees Celsius minus 18% battery loss on the Motorola. Now we go over to the YouTube music test, and it's pretty much, as I always say, one of my favorite rap album projects of all time, Kanye West's College Dropout. And as we're going through the hour, pretty much in this particular one, it was just Never Let You Down. That's a track that was motivating me to get through because, boy, this Oppo was being tedious with the constant overheating. I was really having to babysit these devices even more compared to how I was. I just couldn't actually gauge where and when it was ever going to suffer this again. As we go through this hour of the music test, it didn't. At the final mark at 5 hours, it's 39% battery, 40.3 degrees Celsius, minus 11% battery loss on the Honor, 35% battery, 41.4 degrees Celsius, minus 11% battery loss on the Oppo, and then 29% battery, 41.3 degrees Celsius, minus 13% battery loss on the Motorola. And I would say, in terms of actually how it's going consistency-wise, I really appreciate how well the Motorola's done. It's very much on par to what it was before. Now, next is X Spaces. Nah, Twitter Spaces, right? Are you X or are you Twitter? Let me know in the comment section below what we should be calling it. And as we're going through this hour of Twitter Spaces, and we're going through to pretty much see how the battery performance is going to be once we get to the 6 hour mark, where things really get intense once we move over to 4K recording. And if it makes it through that, getting into the gaming section, boy, you need about 25% battery to really get through an hour of continuous 4K recording. From what I've noticed when it comes to our extreme battery drain test, we get to the 6 hour mark, which is great for all of them so far. For the Honor, we are working with 26% battery, 42.5 degrees Celsius, minus 13% battery loss. Then it's 24% battery, 42.3 degrees Celsius, minus 11% battery loss on the Oppo. And then 15% battery left, 42.0 degrees Celsius, minus 14% battery loss. So it already tells me that, give or take, the Honor and the Oppo could probably get through an hour of 4K recording with the amount that they have. But I just don't know if the Oppo is going to overheat on itself again. As we're pushing through 4K 30 recording continuously, this is probably the least realistic but most intense and reasonable part of it, where if you kind of think of that balance when it comes to the testing in this particular situation. We know the Motorola is going to go first, just based on the battery percentage and the history of how I do these extreme battery drain tests. And what we will see that it does pack in with a time of 6 hours, 37 minutes, and 3 seconds, a final temperature reading of 48.7 degrees Celsius, in third place for the Moto Edge 50 Pro. And I think, honestly, it's on par. I think roughly this is what it got in the first battery drain test that I did with it. Very respectable, and it's a good experience when it comes to it. But you have to commend anything that can get through an hour of continuous 4K recording. Yeah, it's a good look. And in this particular case, the Oppo Reno didn't actually overheat, so it's quite efficient. Both of them are on 7% battery, 47.7 degrees Celsius, minus 19% battery loss on the Honor, and then 46.2 degrees Celsius, minus 17% battery loss on the Oppo. So yeah, we can see that there's an efficiency level there when it comes to recording 4K video. Well, yeah, on the other scenarios with YouTube as well as Instagram Live, very taxing and intense. Now, as for 9 gaming, 7 hours and 15 minutes as we go through, 3% battery left on both of them. So this is now going to the wire. Is the Oppo gonna cause an upset? Again, let's see how it goes. If we get to the next point, 1% battery left at the 7 hour and 23 minute mark. And boy, we know that the Honor is stubborn because it can go to 0% and still be going. But yeah, which one is it actually gonna pack in first? We will see that it will definitely indeed be the Oppo with a time of 7 hours, 26 minutes and 6 seconds, final temperature reading of 44.8 degrees Celsius. In second place, Oppo Reno 12 Pro with an asterisk of 5 overheating incidences. Now, when we go to the final part, we do see that the Honor 200 Pro does finish at 7 hours, 30 minutes and 37 seconds, 43.9 degrees Celsius for the final temperature reading, in first place. So in third place is the Moto Edge 50 Pro with a finishing time of 6 hours, 37 minutes and 3 seconds. And personally for me, anything past that 6.5 hour mark is good when it comes to battery life, and it's been consistent from the first controlled battery drain test that I did with it to this one. And considering the ambient heat temperature of the room being higher than usual, this is really good heat management for the Moto Edge 50 Pro when it comes to the battery life. Considering the battery size of 4,500 milliamps compared to the others, this is really good. So yeah, third place, Moto Edge 50 Pro. Finishing time, 6 hours, 37 minutes and 3 seconds. In second place, controversially, is the Oppo Reno 12 Pro with a finishing time of 7 hours, 26 minutes and 6 seconds. I'm gonna be honest, I have to give a big asterisk to this because of the heat management. This device overheated 5 times. Now, I get it, maybe potentially in a much more cooler ambient temperature situation, it would be better. But regardless, compared to the competition and what is going on here, the thermal management and the fact that it overheats on itself, this is something you might have to consider depending on the app that you're using, the conditions, if it's gonna be able to handle it. Yes, The battery in terms of efficiency is really good when it comes to the rating, but context matters, and the overheating part really didn't give me confidence when it came to it. So yeah, I'm giving it second place, but the asterisk is in our controlled test and environment, it did overheat 5 times. But yeah, second place, Oppo Reno 12 Pro, finishing time, 7 hours, 26 minutes, and 6 seconds. And in first place, the redemption story, the Honor 200 Pro with a finishing time of 7 hours, 30 minutes, and 37 seconds. Now, compared to the first one that I did, that was actually around 6 hours and 40 minutes. So it had a much better run in this situation. And it's even better because the ambient temperature of the room was hotter. So this is a good outing. And this is what I was actually expecting to get from Honor the first time I did this extreme battery drain test. So yeah, pretty much solidifying the consistency that the Honor phones this year when it comes to the battery drain and battery performance. Go on the channel, the Honor V2, the Magic 6 Pro, now the Honor 200 Pro, they are not missing a beat. So yeah, first place in this extreme battery drain test, the Honor 200 Pro, finishing time, 7 hours, 30 minutes, and 37 seconds. Now, what's your thoughts on this extreme battery drain test with the Oppo Reno 12 Pro, the Honor 200 Pro, and the Moto Edge 50 Pro? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Level Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.